Hi, I'm Ray.
And I'm Saren.
We're your Spider Baby hosts from To Know Her Is to Fear Her, a Spider-Woman podcast, as well as proud members of the collective.
You're listening to Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks. Enjoy the show!
This episode of Capes and Lunatics Sidekicks is brought to you by Tweaked Audio. To get awesome headphones, go to tweakedaudio.com and use the coupon code SOUTHGATE to get 30% off, free shipping, and a lifetime warranty. Or you can get there through the link on our website, southgatemediagroup.com.
This is Luca Perich, and you are listening to the Capes and the Lunatics Sidekicks podcast.
I'm here for Peter. Dang, diggity dang.
Giggity giggity. That's right. Plenty of Peter and Frank and Tombstone. Mutant werewolves. What? That's right, kids. Welcome back to the Ultimate Spider-Cast. I am Phil. Joining me, as always, it is...
Hey, y'all. It's Little Hellfire.
And we will take you on a cross-country trip this time. Back when Texas was a magical
Phil,
place.
did you smoke a doobie when you picked this one?
Smoked a doobie? No. Why?
This was off the rails.
Oh, you know we like the weird ones here.
We're all a little mad here. Yes, I know.
Exactly.
He's putting the lunatics in Capes and Lunatics, y'all.
You know, we needed something Punisher. We like the wacky, so... Here we are. Alright, so... Pull up some synopses here. Yes, because we are covering Spectacular Spider-Man 140 through 143.
Buckle up and load up your thwipping spider fluid, because it's going to be a long one.
Whoa. Whoa. Alright, so... First one, Spectacular Spider-Man 140. I love that cover. Rendezvous with Death. July 1988. Of course, written by Jerry Conway, killer of Gwen Stacy.
Conway!
Hey, the creator of The Punisher. Sal Buscema, artist, so you know someone's getting right
We're going to get a good right hook in this one.
Someone's getting right hooked, yeah. So yeah, July 1998. Killzone.
Yeah. And that just gave me, like, that really crappy Punisher movie. The Warzone one. I'm just like, oh God.
Every 2 seconds, see that shot of, like, the camera going through the sewer.
Exactly.
Oh, good lord. Look, he's the Punisher. He has a skull on his knife. So, here we go. Spider-Man watches outside the hospital room of Joe Robertson. Remember that about a month ago? He got his back broken.
And not in a good way? Hey-o! Oh, prerequisite. Nobody tell Rob. This podcast is rated Teen Plus.
Yeah, so many prerequisites here. Like,
Nobody tell Rob!
And...
Suck it, Connor.
Not yet. I think that comes in the next issue.
Hey-o! So yes, Joe, as his family gathers around him, his worst fears have been confirmed. Tombstone had broken Joe's back and he could be paralyzed for the rest of his life. That never works. Ask Bruce Wayne. Blaming himself for not...
Ask Barbara.
Hell! Yeah. Blaming himself for not being there in time to stop Tombstone, Spider-Man slips into a nearby alley to change back into Peter Parker. He then joins the other members of the Daily Bugle staff that are waiting outside of Joe's hospital room. Peter notes how sad J. Jonah Jameson looks, a show of emotion that the Bugle's publisher rarely displays. Who is he, Lilith? As Jonah and the others console Martha Rob.
He's like, I'm gonna have to go hire another black person now.
Oh!
I'm just getting used to this one. Oh, man! Don't at me. It's a joke. It's a parody here. Satire and parody.
Peter asks, they're consoling the family. Peter asks Ben Urich what the doctors are saying about Joe's condition. Urich informs him that the doctors fear that Joe might not be able to walk again. This upsets Peter, who has known Joe since he was a teenager. Wait, what?
Is he confusing him with Betty?
Hell. No, not that backbreaker, Lil.
Nice.
Keep losing my place. Uric informs him that the doctors fear that Joe might not be able to walk again. This upsets Ben. Yes, he's known he's known Joe since he was a teenager. I don't think so. Ben knows that something has been preoccupying Joe for the past few days and asks Peter what he knows. Although Peter plays dumb, was he playing? Ben is sure that Parker might know something because he overheard Joe calling him the night before the accident. When Ben asks what Joe wanted to talk about, Peter tells him that Robertson wasn't there when he arrived. Not satisfied with this answer, Ben tells Peter to get in touch with him should he decide to talk.
Look here, Uric. Don't you badger my Peter. You take your butt back to the Matt Murdock book.
Grilling him. Once everyone has left the hospital, Joe Robertson is visited by Tombstone. He reminds Joe that while he works for the mob, he expects Joe to keep his mouth shut. When Joe refuses to keep quiet, Tombstone whispers something in Joe's ear that stuns Joe to silence. Without a further word, Tombstone leaves the room, leaving Joe alone with his thoughts. Meanwhile, Spider-Man is roughing up some crooks in a seedy dive bar trying to get answers.
He's pulling a Bruce Wayne. He's upset, so he's beating up on the criminals. Come on, Pete. We're better than this.
Beating up on the poor people. Yes, he's roughing up some crooks in a seedy dive bar trying to get answers regarding who put out the hit on Joe Robertson. As Spider-Man gets confirmation that the hit was put out by Tombstone, who works for the Kingpin and the Arranger. As he learns this, Spider-Man doesn't see one of the thugs pull out a gun and take aim at him. However, because, the spider sense is taking the holiday, I guess. However, before the goon can pull the trigger, he is shot.
Ting, tingling.
That spider sense is like, again? Okay.
It's psychosomatic.
Ting, tingling.
However, before the goon can pull the trigger, he is shot by someone else. Spider-Man follows after the shooter, but loses track of him. However,
they didn't advertise it on the front of the cover,
true.
So maybe you don't know. But since this is Punisher Month, spoilers!
If this is your first Marvel comic, you might not have known who it was. However,
a man in the shadows.
However, instead of trying to find who is shooting at him, Spider-Man goes to the office owned by the Kingpin, where he confronts the Arranger as he is on a call with his employer regarding Roland Rayburn. Cutting off the call.
Legitimate businessman stuff.
Sell all our GameStop stock.
They said they only give us $2 for it.
Oh, that was the best meme to come out of that. Once all that went down, someone was like, there was a meme. They were like, now GameStop can afford to pay you $3 for your games. Oh.
Sell it on Craigslist, homie. eBay. Better luck.
Cutting off the call, Spider-Man demands that the Arranger tells him where he can find Tombstone. However, the Kingpin's assistant shows him that their confrontation is being recorded.
That's more like Hello Nurse, but okay.
He can use the footage against the wall crawler. This happens again to him. Never learns. Suddenly, the guards enter the room, and Spider-Man has no choice but to flee. With the wall crawler gone, the Arranger goes into a secret room where Roland Raymond is being pumped full of drugs that will guarantee his compliance.
Okay, Bill Cosby.
Oh!
Jeez.
Oh!
Burn. Sorry, too soon? Too soon?
Too true? Come on, Lilith, that's not fair. He never had a secret room, did he?
True, touche, okay.
That we know of. Soon he is interrupted.
Little less sinister, fine.
Soon he is interrupted by Tombstone, who tells him that his appearance in New York City has drawn out someone who's been pursuing him, as the Arranger had planned. Well, at least he said pursued. It wasn't like, here's someone here to punish me. The next day, Peter Parker and his wife Mary Jane pay a visit to the Robertsons at the hospital. Shortly upon their arrival, Joe asks his wife and MJ to allow him to talk to Peter privately. Scram, you broads. Outside of the hospital room, Martha Robertson breaks down in tears, but someone misspelled this and put years. She breaks down in years.
You leave them alone. They're doing the Lord's work by making these wiki entries. You leave them alone.
Is that like a way to call someone old? They break down in years. Despite Mary Jane's assurances that Joe will bounce back from this, Martha believes that her husband's spirit was broken along with his back. In the room, Peter is shocked when Joe tells him to destroy the recording he left for him. Joe explains that he was visited by Tombstone the night before, and the mobster threatened to go after his family and friends. If Joe finally told what he knew about Tombstone. As Peter leaves with Mary Jane, he tells her all about it. When she asks him what he plans on...
Dang it, Peter! Big mouth...
Well, they're partners. You know, at this point we're pretending to give Mary Jane something to do.
Alright.
When she asks what he plans on doing with the recording, he tells her that he wants to follow up with Ben Urich. Otherwise, he doesn't know. As the couple walks away, they are unaware, again, no tingle, no spider sense tingle there, of the fact that
psychosomatic guilt.
Someone has been spying on them. When Peter arrives at the Daily Bugle, he has Ben's position on his situation, without revealing any details about Joe's recording. Urich tells Peter that there are no hard and fast rules regarding an ethical situation like that. He then tells Peter that someone...
the law might have something to say about that, but okay.
Well, ethical, not legal. He then tells Peter that someone called for him and left a number behind. Peter calls the number back, and the man on the other line tells Parker that he knows about the Robertson recording and asks to meet at Liberty Island in 1 hour. Peter changes into Spider-Man and goes to Liberty Island to make his rendezvous. As the wall crawler waits on the Statue of Liberty's torch, someone in the observation deck tries to catch the hero in a net launcher.
Boo! Everybody knows you use rain to wash the spider down the drain. Come on! Basic stuff, people!
Yeah, mysterious stranger. Where did you go to nursery school? Spider-Man...
he's so old they didn't have nursery
school. Spider-Man swings after his attacker, who runs down the stairs of the statue. When the web-slinger tries to follow, the stranger's gunfire keeps him at bay. Changing tactics, Spider-Man swings outside and tackles his pursuer when he exits the statue. Much to his surprise, the shooter turns out to be the Punisher.
You don't say! Shut the front door! Get out of town! Those white boots should have gave it away if you still didn't know. Not tactical at all, but whatever. He's a fancy man, guys.
Disco may be dead, but not the Punisher's outfit.
Nice.
The vigilante pulls a gun on Spider-Man that demands he turn over the Robertson recording and tells him where he can find Tombstone.
I love how the next issue, they go, the Punisher. Private enemies.
Oh, wow.
They know. They see that subtext in sexual tension. They see it.
Oh, but yes, the Arranger makes mention of the Kingpin's obsessive vendetta against Daredevil. At the time of this story, the Kingpin had been focusing his attention on killing Daredevil, because it was a Tuesday, using the assassin known as Typhoid Mary, as seen in Daredevil 254 through 259. So there's your spot in continuity, kids. Let's talk about your subtext. The Kingpin in Daredevil. So what you think, issue 1? Off the rails, Lilith?
Not yet. It doesn't happen till the middle of this next issue, in my opinion.
All right, well, yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man 141. There he is, all big and in your face on the cover. Don't mess with the Punisher.
He really should get a better tailor.
I know, Kevlar don't rip that easy, does it?
I don't think it does.
I want to show you his muscles. See? It's not just women in ripped costumes, kids. Oh, Lord.
Just throw a boob window on it and call it a day.
Oh, my Lord. The eyes on that skull are cut out.
Exactly.
Jeez.
And it's okay, because they're male-presenting nipples and not female-presenting nipples.
I know. Come on, kids. Let's free all nipples. Come on.
Exactly. The Tombstone Testament.
Preach!
Okay.
What is this?
Someone's on a soapbox in this issue.
Tombstone Testament. What is this? A Black Lightning title?
No, it will be the book 4 of Ra, the Tombstone Testament.
The Book of Tombstone, Chapter 4, Subsection 2.
Goodness.
All right. With a recorded confession from Joe Robertson regarding a murder committed decades ago by the mobster named Tombstone, Spider-Man finds himself working with the Punisher. Following the Punisher's van to the West Side Marina, the wall crawler is brought to the yacht that the Punisher has been using as a mobile base of operations. Fancy.
Golden Girl? Okay. Nope. Makes it too easy. I won't.
God.
I'll be better than that.
Oh my God. Pete should have swung down and be like, Frank, thank you for being a friend.
I'm gonna tell you what, that theme song still slaps. It's one of my ringtones.
Still travels down the road in her head and back again.
Nice.
Spider-Man isn't sure he can trust the Punisher after the vigilante pulled a gun on him when they first met on Liberty Island. It's like a calling card for him. There, the Punisher explains that he has been tracking Tombstone across the country. Not good at his job. After learning that the mobster had recently arrived in New York City, the Punisher...
New York City!
And the Punisher is making it his business to find out why. He wants access to the recorded confession from Joe Robertson as he believes that it holds the answers he needs. Knowing that the recording is in the possession of Peter Parker, the Punisher tells Spider-Man that he will get it even if Parker and the wall crawler oppose him. At that moment, outside, Tombstone and some of his men have tracked down the Punisher to the marina.
And that big fancy battle van, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's got a skull on it, so you know.
Try hiding that. It should have been like the one from Friends, man. You know, you flip the switch and the woman nipples light up. Oh my Lord. The eyes light up. Same area. Confirming the Punisher's hideout, Tombstone tells his minions to wait until dawn and attack him, but to let the Persuader do what needs to be done. Whoa.
What's going on?
Persuader? Now you can make your Bill Cosby joke. Inside the Punisher's yacht, the vigilante explains that he's been tracking Tombstone for weeks after he murdered Harold Ullman, the deputy district attorney of St. Louis. With no evidence to prove Tombstone murdered Ullman, he followed Tombstone to New York. With his explanations complete, the Punisher asks Spider-Man to hand over the recording. However, the wall crawler doesn't have it. The Punisher then heads off to convince Peter Parker to hand it over. However, Spider-Man... That'd be funny. You're not going to find Parker. However, Spider-Man assures him that Parker won't do anything with the tape until Joe Robertson says otherwise. He tells the Punisher to cool down and let him talk to Robertson and Parker and secure the recording. The Punisher agrees to give Spider-Man until sundown to get the recording. The entire conversation is overheard by Tombstone and his men. The murderer decides to deal with the Robertson recording and tells his men to wait to attack the Punisher. Meanwhile, at Midtown Hospital, Ben Urich pays a visit to Joe Robertson. Joe's son Randy tells Joe that the doctors discovered that there was no permanent damage to his father's spine. And he will
We couldn't have saved that until the end of the arc. I mean, like, no tension.
So convenient. And he'll be waking up again soon. He'll be up walking again soon. Asking to speak to Joe in private, Ben asks him for the location of his recording. Joe tries to pretend like he doesn't know what Urich is talking about. However, Ben knows better. Urich lays out all the clues that prove his point. He understands Joe is afraid, but tells him to talk. However, Joe remains silent, and Urich leaves, telling Joe he knows where to find him when he is ready to speak. The next morning...
Oh, the Golden Girl.
Whoa. Blanche? The next morning, the Punisher is cooking breakfast on his yacht.
Wakey, wakey, eggs and bakey.
How'd you like that scene, Lilith? He was just like wearing a towel.
I know. I'm just like, well, excuse me then.
That's what Lilith wants to see at breakfast. Frank Castle with just a towel around his waist.
As long as he cooks me breakfast and leaves, yeah, that's fine.
Hey-oh. There you go. You need a boat, Lilith. You can just throw him overboard when you're done.
I told you. Every time I think about that, something bad happens, so I can't have one right now. I can't be a real pirate.
Arr. All right. That calls for it.
Pirates, arr.
Ooh, a gun and a towel. Now we're talking.
Hey-oh. Where was it Where that gun under his towel, Lilith? Hey-oh.
Might have been in his prison purse. I don't know where it came from.
It was either from the prison purse or was hanging on something.
It's in his prison purse.
This is a nice little action scene.
But yeah, Tombstone's men attempt to ambush him. However, the vigilante is ready for them and kills all but one. I love when he throws like the hot bacon on the guy's face.
What a waste of butter.
Oh, what a waste
How
of
dare
money.
How dare you defile bacon like that?
Oh, what
You're
a
dead
waste
to
of
be
money.
frank.
The lone survivor is blinded by boiling hot grease and is forced to reveal that Tombstone's hideout is in the cloisters. While at the condo shared by Peter Parker and his wife Mary Jane,
I don't know what this look she has going on, but okay.
She's like, he's really playing me this confession. Peter plays Joe's recording. After hearing it, Peter asks his wife what she thinks he should do. If it were up to Mary Jane, she would destroy the recording and be done with it.
She's smart today.
Yeah, but then Tombstone gets away with it.
So what? Not our business.
I guess. However, Peter can't bring himself to do it and decides to leave it up to Joe Robertson to make the choice. As he leaves, Mary Jane finds herself incredibly worried about her husband's well-being because it's the 90s and realizes how dangerous his life is and how much she is afraid for him when he goes out as Spider-Man. Unknown to Mary Jane, her fears are far more warranted than she would like as Tombstone arrives in the lobby of their building looking for Peter Parker.
Ruh-roh, Shaggy.
The doorman or
I
whatever.
mean, he's just walking around town like that. He looks like a damn zombie White Walker. Like, come on. Nobody's gonna tell you nothing.
Zombie.
Tap, tap, tapping my way downtown.
No, they're driving in the battle van. It's fine. It's the gas guzzler.
Soon the Punisher arrives at the cloisters and discovers that it is under armed guard. He takes out the two guards at the gate with a silenced pistol and leaps over the wall. There he is ambushed by an army of thugs. At that
Hey, you notice Tombstone's got a lot of like redheaded henchmen? Is it just me?
he likes to smack
It's like
around
the third one we've seen.
Hey, he takes in all these stepchildren.
Apparently.
But yeah, he leaps over the wall. He's ambushed by an army of thugs. At that same moment, Mary Jane is getting ready for a modeling shoot when she is grabbed by the hair by Tombstone.
Oh, hell no. Give him the right hook, Mary Jane.
Give him the baseball bat. Where's it at?
Supposed to be right by the door just for this reason, ladies.
Mary Jane struggles to get free, but Tombstone is too strong. The brutal killer doesn't want to hurt her any more than he has to and demands to know where he can find her husband. A few moments later, the Punisher makes short work of the guards and heads towards the old monastery, intent on putting the Punisher... I don't think the Punisher's intent on putting the Punisher down. I would assume Tombstone.
At least not until later that night.
Hey-oh!
So some weird random dude shows up, by the way.
Rushing up to a limo, he whips open the passenger side door, expecting Tombstone. Instead, he finds the Arranger and a man in a strange costume. The Arranger
who is it?
The Arranger introduces the Punisher to Roland Raymond. Remember about a month ago?
Remember that guy?
Remember a month ago? Yeah, that's the guy Tombstone was smacking around saying you're going to work for the Arranger now. Who has taken on the costume identity of the Persuader. At that, the Persuader uses his mutant powers, let's blame it on the mutants, to influence people to take control of the Punisher.
Stinking filthy muties.
The Punisher tries to resist. The Persuader unleashes the full fury of his power, causing the Punisher to keel over in pain. While at that moment, Peter is telling Joe to come forward with his confession, regardless of how afraid he is. However, Joe can't bring himself to do it. Suddenly, a nurse enters the room and tells Peter that his wife Mary Jane has just been rushed to the hospital and has been hurt. As Peter rushes out of the room to see his wife, Joe Robertson can only lay in bed and cry.
And one will fall next issue.
Oh, yes, also in this story, Ben Urich mentions how he was almost killed by Elektra for his investigations. That happened in Daredevil 179.
Oh, Daredevil.
See, these two Spider-Man and Daredevil need a team-up book. Their worlds, like, crossover.
They collide literally all the time, yeah.
And that's the buddy cop comedy a month after.
Oh man, we wasted a really good team up on the Deadpool podcast too. It was when we did Daredevil, Spider-Man, Deadpool, and Punisher.
Oh yeah,
that would have been a great one for Daredevil. The devil you know is better than the devil you don't.
Wait till August? We got some Daredevil and Batman for you. And some Batman Spider-Man over here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Summer annuals. Ooh, boy.
Well, those aren't the annuals, but we're getting some annuals, too.
Might as well be. Those are like some annual level antics right there.
What is it? June? Atlantis is going to attack, kids.
Like clockwork.
Summertime. All right, so
I like this cover, but come on, it's still a Spider-Man book. It's not the Tombstone book, so.
Tombstone just standing on a girder, hanging Spider-Man off a building.
Action in Atlanta?
Oh, my Atlanta.
Have these people ever been to Atlanta? Because this is not what Atlanta looks like, but okay.
Hey, remember when we covered those Pittsburgh issues? I mean, except for, like, the stadium and, like, the park, it was like, oh, okay.
This could have been anywhere.
Again, it's like, I guess the artist, I guess Sal wasn't familiar with it.
There were reference pictures in books back then. You didn't need the internet. Just saying.
Yeah, I had to go to the library. Oh my god. But yes, Spectacular Spider-Man 142 from September 1988. Will. That's the name. That's the name of the story, kids. Will.
Will they or won't they? Oh, no, wait. This isn't Friends. Never mind.
Will.
I hope it's going somewhere nice.
It depends on what part of Atlanta.
Will. All right. So, in Atlanta...
You'll get lost, by the way, because everything's Peachtree. Avenue, Street, Lane, Parkway, Plaza, Center. Good luck!
Hey, they have a theme. In Atlanta...
This is before Google Maps, too, by the way, so good luck!
Hang a right on Peachtree Lane, then take a left on Peachtree Avenue.
Exactly.
In Atlanta, Spider-Man swings across the city, vowing that things with Tombstone will end that evening. Seething with rage, the wall crawler thinks back to the events that brought him to the state of Georgia. He recalls how he was at Midtown Hospital asking Joe Robertson what he should do about the recording he made confessing Tombstone's crimes. It was then that the nurse told him that Mary Jane had just arrived in the emergency room. Rushing to the emergency room, Peter's relieved to see that his wife only has a sprained arm. She explains that Tombstone forced her to...
Who is she, Wally West? They're both redheads.
Oh, I know, redheads taking a beating in these. She explains that Tombstone forced her to tell him that he was here at the hospital with Joe. Fearing that the villain might be nearby, a surgeon comes up to the Parkers and tells Peter that he has a phone call on the nearby payphone. As Peter expected, it is Tombstone who tells Parker to turn over the Robertson confession, warning that he will hurt Mary Jane more if he refuses.
What kind of creepy note is that, by the way? Her hair smelled like strawberries and cream.
Oh,
That's
my.
creepy.
Well, I think he's like, yeah, I was there, sorry. Deciding that they should meet in neutral territory, Tombstone knows that Peter is going to be at a book signing in Atlanta the next day and orders him to meet there.
And so is Spider-Man? Well, damn.
Well, the book is about Spider-Man. Luckily, I was going to make a nice public appearance for my friend Parker here, see? When Peter arrived in Atlanta, there was a note from Tombstone telling him to meet at Terrace Square. With his recollection over, the drugs wore off. Spider-Man heads to his rendezvous with Tombstone. He thinks about how he tried to contact the Punisher and tip him off, but couldn't find him. Back in New York City, the Punisher is a prisoner of the Arranger and being subjected to the hypnotic powers of the Persuader. The Arranger has his men monitoring the Punisher's health and demands the Persuader give him results. Even though the Punisher is resisting his influence, the Persuader is certain that he will eventually crack the vigilante. After one final burst, the Persuader recoils in pain. At first, the Arranger believes that his minion has failed. However, the Persuader tells him to get a good look at the Punisher, seeing that Frank Castle is in a hypnotic state. He congratulates the Persuader for a job well done. I mean, nice little bonus for you, kid. While at Midtown Hospital, Joe Robertson is told that his back wasn't broken, only bruised and compressed. Told that he will walk again, Joe is taken through the rehabilitation therapy. As he struggles to walk, his son Randy Robertson cheers him on. Struggling to walk, Joe begins to hallucinate that Tombstone is right in front of him and threatening his family again. Unwilling to surrender anymore, Joe leaps at the apparition, which vanishes as soon as he comes into contact. Not seeing this, Randy is impressed with his father's speedy recovery.
Anger, man. It works.
Oh Lord. Okay, so here's a subplot that has nothing to do with this storyline, but
Yep, here we go.
Hoping to get to this someday. Well, it kind of ties into stuff we do the last Tuesday of every month. While in Lansing, Michigan, a blonde woman leaves the high school where she works and heads
with a black headband.
Yeah. They clone that headband every time, kids. Where she works and heads for her car. Suddenly, a craft carrying 2 armored individuals blasts her car. Fleeing for her life, the woman manages to escape through a sewer pipe. As she flees, she knows
Who is she, Frank Castle?
Oh, she knows that Peter Parker will save her because he always saves her. Well, not that one time.
He's more experienced now. It's fine. He knows better than to do what he did.
But that's right, kids. That blonde, Gwen Stefani.
Yeah, whatever.
Leave our sweet little precious Kona alone.
Yeah, whatever.
No doubt.
Man.
I love that. I said that's the casting I didn't know I want now. All right, back in Atlanta, Spider-Man waits for Tombstone with the recording when suddenly the villain ambushes him, knocking the pair off the side of a construction site. While back in New York City, Joe Robertson has called his family, J. Jonah Jameson, Ben Urich, and Kate Cushing to his hospital room. There he makes another recorded confession of how he allowed Tombstone to get away with murder. Meanwhile, Tombstone has the upper hand against Spider-Man at first. Ultimately, Spider-Man regains his footing and begins beating Tombstone into submission. Yeah.
Man, Tombstone loves those metal pipes, man. Is that like his calling card?
He's like Joker Light. He demands to know why he didn't kill Joe Robertson to begin with. Spider-Man is shocked to discover that Tombstone considers Joe a friend in some sick and twisted fashion. No, thank you.
No, it's sexual tension.
Hey-oh. Spider-Man then strikes Tombstone with gives him the old Sal Buscema with a powerful enough blow that he goes falling off the side of the building. Spider-Man braces the killer's fall with webbing, but this doesn't stop Tombstone from landing in the back of a dump truck filled with cement. Although the battle was over.
Because he is indeed a blockhead.
Good grief, blockhead. I mean, I guess they wanted to bring him back, but wouldn't it have been ironic if that would have broken Tombstone's back?
Exactly. But it would have just been compressed and bruised, and he would have had to take like 3 years to rehabilitate, you see.
Some tea and the will to live.
Hashtag never forget, never forgive.
Oh my god, I still can't get over that mid-season there. Everyone's like, oh, he's going to use the Lazarus Pit. Oh, don't be ridiculous. We would never do that. Even though it would have made more sense.
Yep, and we do get it in Legends, so, go figure.
Although the battle is over, Spider-Man grimly thinks that the only way Tombstone will stay in prison is if Joe talks to the authorities and hopes that he does the right thing.
Snitches get stitches. Ain't you learned your lesson, boy?
Little does Spider-Man know that Joe has finished making his statement to Jonah and the others and intends to go to the Justice Department and resign his position as editor-in-chief at the Daily Bugle, where he goes to trial for accessory to murder. Oh my god. Can you imagine?
Trash.
The judge would have been like, oh yeah, you work for Jameson. Yeah, that's punishment enough just to keep your job.
Basically.
However, J. Jonah Jameson refuses to allow him to step down, telling him that he is expected at work the next morning. My bad. Meanwhile, the Arranger is watching the news and is disappointed to learn about Tombstone's arrest in Atlanta. However, for his next plan, he has just the operative to carry out his orders. The Punisher is then called into his office where the vigilante vows to kill anyone the Arranger orders him to eliminate.
Deadline in Dallas! Next issue. What are we gonna do? Well, he's not competent, so don't worry about it.
But yes, I want to cover the Evolutionary War someday. So yes, kids, that Gwen Stacy clone will show up in Spectacular Spider-Man Annual 8. Where they try the retcon. Oh yeah, there was no clones. Yeah, Miles Moore never created clones. He just created a virus that transforms people into other people.
Which is even worse.
Until the 90s when they want to crash grab and they try to retcon it back.
It's murky. We'll never know the truth.
Because the Jackal even tells Spider.
Don't worry, we're getting another Clone Wars saga, so don't worry. Maybe we'll actually answer it this time.
Well, you know how they tried to retcon it The Jackal tells Spider-Man, "You really think the High Evolutionary would told you the truth, kid?"
Exactly.
What's his motive?
Dubiousness. Yes.
Really? You're gonna trust a guy called the High Evolutionary?
I mean, high is right in the name.
Wearing purple armor, he must be high.
Smoke the doobie.
So now it's the Persuader versus the Punisher.
Death in Dallas. Well, so we're gonna have a big battle in Dallas. Well, at least we know we won't see Ted Cruz.
It's not snowing. He's home.
No!
Looks pretty nice out. He's soaking up all the taxpayer money, yeah.
Oh my lord, he was at Saturday Night Live last night. They were like showing a video, was he at CPAC or some appearance, and he was making Cancun jokes, and Colin Jost is even like, no, you don't do that. That's not
You're not allowed to do that.
That's not yours. That's for the rest of us, not you.
So we open this issue on the Golden Girl. Like, I think all issues of Punisher should just open up on a boat. I think that's what I've decided. We need to bring this boat back.
Deadpool needs this boat.
Oh, when Deadpool and Punisher do their team up, they have to have this boat. It's decided. Make it happen.
That is to be Deadpool's new boat. Golden Girls, B. Arthur, come on. To B. Arthur.
He's got a fleet.
I'm riding on the B. Arthur, son. But yeah, Spectacular Spider-Man 143 from October 1988. Oh, I know why Ray didn't send feedback for this one, because Tombstone gets defeated, that's why. His boy gets defeated.
Of course he does. He's Tombstone.
I know. He doesn't even have any powers yet.
This humbled him and made him seek an upgrade.
This was when Tombstone was a normal human being. I mean, Ray likes him when he's hard, remember?
Because Ray likes it hard.
I'm sorry, Ray. I have to cut that out. That has to be a new drop. See what happens when you don't send in feedback?
What
the war F? Of the drops.
What the F?
Yeah, man. Gave Tombstone the old right hook. Give him the old
couple of balls down the gob.
So yes, 143 deadline in Dallas. Spider-Man has returned to the Punisher's yacht to find armed guards on board. Oh lord, they're eating his bacon. He ambushes them, demanding to know where the vigilante is. He rounds them up and learns that these men were trying to rob the yacht, and it has nothing to do with the Punisher's disappearance.
Sure, kid.
They must not know whose boat that was, because they wouldn't even dare if they knew whose boat that was. You stole my bacon. He webs the crooks up for the cops and swings away, wondering what happened to the Punisher. Little does Spider-Man know that the Punisher has been brainwashed by the Arranger's minion known as the Persuader. The pair has just landed at the Dallas airport, where the Punisher is recognized by a security guard. When he tries to arrest the Punisher, the Persuader uses his mutant powers to make the guard let them go. However, this display is witnessed by a reporter who thinks this will make a great news story. As they move on, the Persuader reminds the Punisher that they're here on business for the Kingpin. Looking at a newspaper, the Punisher sees that the mobsters known as the Lobo Brothers were freed after a mistrial.
Here it is, kids!
I keep threatening it. One day we have to do that Lobo Brothers war. Oh my lord, with the Kingpin.
I don't mind at all. That's just the right amount of wacky.
Mutant werewolves, kids. Brother mutant werewolves. Oh my god. The Punisher responds by telling the Persuader to tell him who he needs killed. Back in New York City, the Arranger meets with the Kingpin and goes over his current plans. He explains how he hired Tombstone to procure Ronald. Oh my! Somebody had DC on the brain to procure Ronald Raymond.
Poor Ronnie. They wouldn't drag poor Ronnie Raymond into this. Hasn't he suffered enough?
Ronald Raymond. A mutant with the power of persuasion. No, I think he's molecular. With Raymond, they brainwash the Punisher into their service to assassinate the Lobo Brothers, Texas drug dealers he fears will soon become competition on the New York scene. However, the Kingpin is not interested, reminding the Arranger that he doesn't care about his organization's day-to-day, you're gonna care soon, about the day-to-day business, as he has focused all his efforts on destroying Daredevil. Again, sexual tension. I mean, he sends like Typhoid Mary to break up his relationship. I mean, there is sexual tension there.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Secretly plotting to overthrow the Kingpin, the Arranger vows to make his employer regret his disrespect. Oh, no, he's gonna take you out first.
Definitely not his Waylon Smithers for sure.
Meanwhile,
Waylon Smithers would never.
Yes, sir. Okay. Back to some clone fun. Meanwhile, a young woman hops off a bus in Columbus, Ohio. No one will find me here. She has been on
Mike's place. Dang straight. Nobody's gonna find you at Mike's place.
She has been on the run since she was chased by armored men in a flying craft in Michigan. She's trying to get to New York City so she can get help from Peter Parker. Unfortunately, as the bus pulls out, it is attacked by another ship of armored individuals. They are purifiers enlisted by the High Evolutionary to capture the woman. Because he got evolved. Unfortunately, like the team before them, this woman manages to evade capture. With her pursuers gone, the woman races off into the night.
But not to the Moon Knight podcast.
No. Because some fancy man had to go to a concert. Back in New York, Spider-Man has finished his search for Punisher for the night. As he swings toward a trendy bar, he thinks about how busy...
That's not trendy. But look at all the guys hitting on Mary Jane.
Well, it's trendy
all
now.
Those free drinks.
Well, it's trendy now that Mary Jane's sitting there. He thinks about how busy his life has gotten lately with the publication of his book Webs and subsequent book tour, as well as Mary Jane's recent kidnapping at the hands of Jonathan Caesar. There's our continuity, kids.
Oh, boy.
Remember the locked room, kids? Sticks and stone? Yeah. Changing back into Peter Parker, the hero joins his wife just as she is turning down a group of men trying to pick her up at the bar.
Never trust those stockbrokers, that's for sure.
Oh, Lord. And looking for, it's going to look like the trading room floor in her bedroom if they have their way. Jesus. She assures Peter that he has nothing to be jealous about as they are happily married. Peter's in the...
Have you never seen Wolf of Wall Street?
Margot Robbie. Peter's in the middle of telling Mary Jane how he goes back to... about going back to school when they catch a news report.
Oh, Lord. Just leave it alone, Peter. You're never going to get that PhD.
They gotta keep him busy every couple years. But he sees a news report about the Punisher being sighted in Texas. Seeing this, Peter decides to go to Texas right away, much to the annoyance of Mary Jane. In Texas, the Punisher has come to Herdling Refinery Company, a front for the Lobo brothers' illegal drug smuggling. There he decides to set an example by gunning down the guards and blowing up the facility. The next morning...
Oh, look, he's competent.
Well, he's hypnotized.
At the wrong time.
He's hypnotized. The next morning, Peter uses his press agent to get him an appearance in Texas for his book Webs in order to search for the Punisher. Oh, look, he's going to make some bucks while he's here.
Come on, Mary Jane's got crowds of guys, stockbrokers clamoring at her, at her knees. He's got to bring in that money somehow.
That's right, kids. In 1988,
wouldn't want Bruce to show up and give her a new car or anything.
In 1988, King of the Selfies was King of the Book Tour.
Did they ever make that book real? I feel like they should have if they did.
I don't think they did, as far as I know. But yeah, all it was like a bunch of pictures and maybe, here, this is when I.
They could have made it like that hyper-realistic cover. All the pictures could have kind of been like in that vein.
Exactly.
I'd still buy it.
All it has to basically be is pictures.
I mean, he literally does have a Christmas album.
Seriously. So. All he needs is a couple little captions at the bottom. Here's the first battle between Spider-Man and the Sandman when he vacuumed him up into a vacuum cleaner.
When they're really, truly desperate for Spider-Man content, that's when they'll do it.
I did not fake that picture at all. As he arrives in town, he reads about the Punisher's attack on the refinery. He asks his agent about the Lobo brothers and learns they appeared in South Texas about a year before and quickly rose in the ranks and became big-time drug dealers in the state. Trying to secure themselves, they had just recently set themselves up in a mansion in Grapevine Lake. Soon,
Ooh, fancy.
that drug money. Peter is at a book signing and is soon able to take a break so he can change into Spider-Man and search for the Punisher. He goes to the Lobo brothers' mansion in Grapevine Lake. When he arrives, he is too late to stop the Punisher and the Persuader from forcing themselves onto the property and killing the Lobo's guards. When the Lobo brothers mention the Kingpin, it begins confusing the Punisher. However, before he can kill the brothers, Spider-Man leaps in to stop the Punisher. However, a stray shot manages to go off, striking Carlos Lobo in the shoulder. During the struggle...
And those hairy shoulders.
Well, they're werewolves, come on. During the struggle, the Punisher throws Spider-Man into the Lobo's in-ground pool and attempts to drown him. During the confusion, the Lobo brothers manage to escape.
See, now he gets it. He's being competent. You use water to kill spiders. It's right there in the nursery rhyme.
Spider-Man manages to struggle free, but is later grazed by a bullet by one of the Kingpin's gunmen. Man, that spider sense really took a vacation this
Psychosomatic.
The web-slinger blacks out briefly to find himself at the mercy of the Punisher. However, when the Persuader orders the Punisher to kill Spider-Man, however, the Punisher can't take the life of an innocent and breaks free of the Persuader's mental control. The Punisher then guns...
Isn't that love?
Oh, yeah.
Spider-Man breaks the spell on Frank.
He then guns down the Persuader and his gunman. Spider-Man is furious that the Punisher killed the Persuader, pointing out that they have lost a source of evidence to shut down the Kingpin once and for all. However,
leave it to Matt. He'll get to it eventually.
However,
or at least try.
Seriously. However, the Punisher isn't interested in Spider-Man's morality and tells the hero that he will deal with the Kingpin in his own way sometime soon. With the Punisher gone, Spider-Man also departs, intending to finish his book signing and head home. In the aftermath of the battle, the Lobos emerge from their hiding place and vow to get a revenge against the Kingpin.
Also, Boomerang.
In San Diego, Lilith.
I know.
We're gonna have to cover that, yeah. See how accurate San Diego is.
Well, let's see, it's the 80s. They were doing the con. I think that actually might be pretty accurate because they were doing cons for a really long time. So,
I just remember yachts and stuff.
Only out on the bay. Inside, it's actually pretty low key. Like, the skyline's not as nice as you'd think it'd be, actually.
Oh, really?
To be off the water. Just saying.
Well, it's a Boomerang story. We'll come back around to it eventually.
Hey-o. So yeah, like, I love Robbie as much as the next person, but you know Tombstone's not my cup of tea. I didn't need all this backstory, all these shenanigans with Tombstone.
I was trying to get an Aussie fanboy to send in feedback. Come on. Oh,
but it had a lot of great action, which is all you can really ask for. It's not a bad Punisher appearance. Like I said, it's a shame it takes him to be hypnotized to be competent, but I'll get it where I can take it. Hey-o.
Hey-o. Oh my god, you know what we have to do? We have to come back around, like I said, come back around to that next story with Boomerang. We need to do a live read and get Aussie fanboy in here.
Yeah, Ray. He's so busy. We'll have to definitely bully him into it though.
Concerts, stag parties, come on. Who is he?
He's living his best life as an old man. Who are we to judge?
Australian heft on her.
I will give these issues an average of a C+. I think the second issue is my favorite, and maybe the 141 is my favorite cover.
Oh.
I love the Golden Girl boat, though. I love that. Just chef's kiss to that one.
But yeah, I think I have to agree. I think 141 is the best cover. I mean,
I really would like more on the Lobos, but like it just didn't really belong in the Spider-Man book. Like it just didn't.
Yeah, but would Mutant Werewolf's been a little over the top for Daredevil at this time?
True. That is true.
I mean, the wackiest thing they pretty much had at this time was like Typhoid Mary, maybe Bushwhacker because his arm transformed.
Yeah, Bushwhacker definitely was the most wacky thing.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe it's just nostalgia, but I gotta give it at least a B-. I
can see where you're totally come from. It's a shame that they wasted the Persuader that way, too, by the way.
True. Well, he was,
but he's just a stinking, filthy mutie, so who cares?
He was basically just a stinky plot
He's
device.
a MacGuffin, I know.
And again,
but it actually paid off. Like, they did mention it, show it. It did pay off, at least.
And I mean, I get that he wanted to start the war with the Kingpin, but it's like, the Lobos were, never, I mean, unless they were smart, they were just like, never swearing revenge against the Punisher, too. Unless they're like, that's not going to turn out well. Frank will load up on some...
Punisher has no money, no empire to take over, either.
Yeah, but I thought they were just revenge.
They were smart drug dealers. They knew where their bread was buttered.
But then, Frank gets a couple thousand rounds of silver bullets, and probably not.
Eventually, 2 of them will hit. Eventually. But I know we got some, like I said, the action and the fight scenes were the best part about all these issues.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm glad that they tried to do something with Robbie. Like, it felt organic. It didn't just feel like, oh, well, we haven't done anything with the black guy, so let's throw a story together.
Yeah, I mean, again, modern comics could never. It's just like, we were doing stuff with our supporting cast.
Yeah, such a shame that trend went away. I don't know why.
Well, that's what I said. Like, in the current Spider-Man books, we set Jonah up with that podcast, and when's the last time we saw him? Like early 40s?
Can we get a Jonah back up in the Amazing Spider-Man book, please?
Seriously, when was the last time we saw Jonah? Like early 40s of Spectacular Spider-Man? It's like, it's probably been...
They were too busy with this Kindred business that didn't really work out how they thought it was going to work out, so...
Oh my god, like 15 issues of, confess. I don't know what you want me to confess to. That thing
Your soul has a stain on it, Spider-Man!
That thing you did that time?
But yeah, no. I mean, I've had worse issues. Worse Punisher appearances, so,
I know. So, yes, I hope.
I like that they were trying to get him out of New York, too. Like, we did a little something, we did Atlanta, we did Dallas. So that was fun.
Do you think some of that is because this was written by Jerry Conway, who created the Punisher?
Absolutely. He wanted his shekel.
And again...
He drew this out. He wanted his shekel.
And again, if you don't want superheroes interfering in your executions, you're not going to...
Stay out of New York. You're absolutely right. That's the smartest thing that's ever happened in a Spider-Man book.
Seriously. Had Tombstone and Punisher stayed in Texas, Spider-Man never would have known. Been in like a headline on page 6.
Exactly.
Alright, so should we tell the kiddies what's coming up next?
Give them their homework.
Alright, one more week of Punisher. Next week, Amazing Spider-Man 330 and 331 with Eric Larson. Who are they fighting? The U.S. government. What? And so that's right. So then the week after that, that's right, we're already at a sausage fest.
It's 3 of them and it's so out of hand.
For the trial of Peter Parker. That's right. Oh, don't act like you don't like multiple sausage, Lo.
Touche, Philip.
Suck it, Lilith.
Nobody tell Rob.
Sausage! Sausage!
Hey, we put on a pretty decent show in that Scarlet Spider week.
It was just a really nice package. It was just a really nice package.
That's right, Ray. All right, so yeah, send your thoughts on both of those, and then so Ray, send your feedback for this time. We'll read it next time. So yes, email us capesandlunatics@gmail.com or call the voicemail 614-382-2737. That's 614-38-CAPES. And remember, follow Ultimate...
I heard you could even leave video now.
Oh, so. Yes, video feedback, Ray. Drunken feedback from the concert, Ray. Do it. Swear to me. But yes, follow Ultimate Spider-Cast on Facebook, Twitter. You can find links to all of the various shows, social medias, links to this YouTube channel, links to our Patreon. Boob windows and log boxes are coming, people.
Incoming!
In your face! Links to merch.
Stay hydrated.
That's right.
Nobody has to know what you're drinking on your Zoom meeting.
Everything all in one place. That's Linktree, linktr.ee/capesandlunatics. And remember to support the sponsors, Tweaked Audio.
Get yourself some headphones for crystal clear audio.
Hear that bacon sizzle on a Skell's face. and
be like Frank, hunt a killer.
That's
but
right.
Hopefully be competent.
Don't have to kill him, just hunt him, kids.
Solve that escape room in a box that's delivered to your house.
That's right. Stay home. We're in the middle of a pandemic. And...
allegedly.
Yeah, I know. Whoa. Speaking of... stay home and read Pod Life, the book, now in digital and paperback.
Yeah, everybody started a podcast at the beginning of the pandemic. I wonder how many people are still doing their podcast.
I know, I wonder. just those famous people. Come on. So yes, if you want to learn about podcasting, read the stories of podcasters and Pod Life, the book, from expert podcasters and...
of course, Rob Southgate.
What did you say?
That mastermind in the shadows himself.
That's right, because you can pick up that book in Amazon, and when you do, use the link for Southgate Media Group right down there in the show notes. Help us support this show, the network, and that mutant...
that kingpin himself!
that mutant werewolf himself, Rob Master Doom Southgate.
Make it rain, so says Master Doom. You're weak sauce. Why did your eye drift over to my box? Mark my words.
All right, Lilith.
If you nerds want to hang out with me on the interwebs, you can find me on Twitter at Lilith Hellfire, on the gram at Lilith Hellfire 86, but for some 18 plus spicy memes at Lilith Hellfire 69 on TikTok and the gram.
Gimme. Be gentle with me. I'm about to get it as well. All of y'all can just shut the hell up. Bye, Felicia.
Yes, bye, Felicia. Bye, Gwen! Stefani.
We got...
hello, Megan.
Bye, that's for DC.
I know. Hello, Megan, and bye, Felicia. All right, kitties. Again, thank you for joining us. Next week, one more Punisher, and then followed up by the Sausage Fest.
Sausage!
The Trowel of last century. The Trowel of Peter Parker.
No, not Barry Allen's.
But until then, swing on the back.
Whip.
Hi, I'm one of the High Priests of Khonshu Ray, and I have the sacred privilege of providing you, the loony listener, with a podcast honouring Marvel's very own Moon Knight. So join me and a host of others at Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. Follow us on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram, or support the show by becoming a Patreon member. Into the Night, a Moon Knight podcast. It's time to get your Khonshu on.